Hi, I'm Chef Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen. Welcome to Heart of the Home. Today we are going to make one of my very favorite dishes, my version of shrimp and grits. Lots of vegetables here, lots of bacon, lots of cheese, lots of cream, all the good stuff. So what we've started with is we've got chicken stock and water in our together in a pot here that I've already put together for you, and we're using stone ground grits. That is very, very crucial. You do not want to use the instant things. You want stone ground, and they do take about 20 minutes or so to cook. So we've got our water and chicken stock on. We're going to add the grits. Just going to kind of whisk them up a little bit. Once they get to cooking, we are going to be adding the cream and the cheeses and the butter. In the meantime, we're actually going to go ahead and start our gravy for the grits. I've had this pan on a little bit longer, and it's going to be nice and hot. You want to start out with bacon, which I absolutely love, of course. I love a little tip to tell people about bacon. You know how hard it is to actually cut while it's at room temperature or even right out of the fridge. If you put your bacon in the freezer for about an hour, much easier to dice. We're looking for about a half a cup or so, more, it doesn't really matter. And we're going to go into the pan, start the bacon sizzling. All right. Going to hit that with a spatula there. No need to add a fat because the bacon is going to render its own fat. All right, so once the bacon is starting to kind of brown a little bit, you can go ahead and start adding your vegetables in. We want to start with garlic, and yes, it is a lot of garlic, and I love it that way. But you immediately want to stir that garlic. You don't want it to burn. I'm going to turn the heat down just a little bit. Bacon and garlic. All right, and then we're going to come back in and we're going to add some green onions and capers. Capers are delicious. They add a nice little salty balance. So we're going to add the capers in. Then we're going to add some diced tomato. Starting to pick up some beautiful color as well. And then we've got some chopped bell peppers here. Of course, these are all delicious vegetables you're probably growing in your own gardens. What a way to take advantage of that. And just look at that gorgeous color. So pretty. So everything is cooking nicely. The vegetables are starting to soften. I love that. Let's go ahead and we'll get our shrimp in there first. Now, I do like to leave the tails on the shrimp. Some people disagree with that, but I just find the presentation is nice, and your diner will actually, obviously not eat the shells or the tails, but I personally love doing it this way. So we're going to add the shrimp. We're going to saute those up. They're going to start to turn a little pink. And your recipe might actually say to do the cream before the shrimp, but I like to do it this way because it gets the shrimp cooked a little bit more. All right, our grits are starting to boil here to my left. All right, so we have sauteed our shrimp and our vegetables. We're going to now come back and we're going to add about 1.5 cups of heavy cream. Going to let that come to temperature there, come up in heat a little bit. And then to our grits, which have been going about 15 minutes or so, we're now going to add heavy cream to that. And we're going to add about 4 tablespoons or so of butter. And then we're going to add a combination of cheddar cheese and Parmesan cheese. Get that nice and melted. All right, I do want to hit both of these with a little bit of salt and pepper. All right. And to that, we're going to add a little bit of butter. Just kind of swirl that around and get that nice and melted. There we go. The butter is melting. The cream is coming up to temp. On our gravy, that is, with the shrimp and all those delicious vegetables. Going to go ahead and hit that with a little handful of Parmesan cheese. This is going to be so good. All right, I've turned the grits off. All right, I'm going to put the grits in a nice big serving bowl. All right, our gravy is ready. Let's see if we can pour that right over top of our grits. Oh my gosh, this looks so good. All that delicious bacon and capers and veggies on top there. All right, and the last thing I'm going to do is hit it with a little bit of parsley. Nicely fresh chopped parsley gives you beautiful green color. And I had actually sauteed up a little bit more bacon. Why not hit it with that, right? All right, and there you have it, what I think is the best shrimp and grits recipe. I'm Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen. Join us next time on Heart of the Home.
Recipes from the Heart of the Home can be found on the Virginia Farm Bureau website at vafb.com/recipes, as well as on Chef Tammy Brawley's website at greenkitchenrichmond.com.